Welcome, and thanks for stopping by. Whether you're watching us on YouTube or listening to our podcast on one of your favorite platforms, I'm glad you're here. At this time, I would like to thank our partners and sponsors for their dedication to helping the show to grow. We cannot do what we do without their help.
Hey, everybody. You reached the Millennium Beat with your host, Kevin James. I am on the computer with Amenna Scott. Amenna, thank you very much for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
All right. It's going to be a great conversation. We're going to learn about you. My audience will learn about you and stuff like that. So that's going to be a pretty cool interview. So I'm looking forward to it. So Amenna, tell us a little bit about, basically, I always like to go back to the beginning, a little bit about your story, where you were born, and then you can move up there. We'll go from there. So.
Okay, I was born in Washington D.C., but I lived in Oxon Hill, Maryland, and but my mommy transferred back to D.C. My mommy was worked at the Pentagon, so she always was on the move.
Okay.
So other than that, that was just basically once we found that once we went back to DC, we stayed in DC. We never went back to Maryland. And and yeah, that was about around that time, because I began to get sick in Maryland when we was in my mom's house at 5.
Okay, talk a little bit about that sickness. What kind of sickness were you, or did you have, I should say?
Well, at first, my mommy didn't know what was going on with me because I started off with seizures.
Okay.
See, I started having seizures constantly, back to back to back to back. And my mommy didn't know what was wrong with me, what was bringing on the seizures. So when we finally went to the hospital for my seizures, my rheumatologist, they told me to go to a rheumatologist, of course, to see what was triggering the seizures, because my blood pressure was like 200 and something. And look,
oh wow,
I'm only 5. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You like, what's going on with that blood pressure? So they was scared about that, and that's when I had to take a lot of tests, and they didn't catch that I had lupus till I was about 6 years old.
Okay.
And that was simple.
Now explain a little bit to the people that might not familiar with, like myself. What is lupus? What is it? What does it? No, not what causes it. I mean, that could be another question, but what is lupus itself? So, a layman's term, what is lupus?
It's different variants of lupus. Mine was symptomatic lupus. Mine was the ones that attack your organs. And it's very rare for a kid to have it. You normally get it. You normally get it when you're up in age. You normally get it up in age. That's what they. And as I was getting older, that's when I found out that a lot of people had this disease, but they got it when it was older. They didn't get it when it was like me. Still a baby. You know, so it's it's very rare for a child to get symptomatic lupus, but like I said, it's not contagious. Like you can't just catch it, just by touching somebody or whatever like that.
Right.
It's not contagious. Is it hereditary? No.
Yeah, that was my next question. Yeah.
You don't have it's not hereditary. It's like it's like cancer. Cancer don't have to be hereditary, but you can catch it and it could just form in your blood, and next thing you know, you got a disease, because nobody in my family has lupus.
Okay, you're the only one. Yeah.
So, but when my doctor was saying is that when he was telling my mommy that it attacked my organs, so when I did a biopsy for my kidneys, my kidneys was already dead.
Oh wow, both of them or just
No,
one?
both of them, both.
Oh wow.
So they had to be removed.
Right. And obviously it had to be replaced. You had to have a new one put in.
I didn't have a new one put in.
Are you on dialysis? Is that what they call it?
I was on dialysis. I was on dialysis at the age of 6. Yeah.
Okay.
And
yeah.
that was my kidney.
Right.
So I had to endure a lot of pain for that.
Oh, yeah, age, yeah.
And then the lupus does do stuff. Sometimes it has side effects. It bothers your joints. Like one time, I had a contraction. It was like I couldn't even move my leg. My hip wouldn't. I couldn't even walk because it was it bothers your joints. It messes with your skin. Some people have rashes. Some people get nosebleeds. Like me, I had got nosebleeds, and it brought knots to my head. So my hair had to be cut off. All my hair, my long, pretty hair. I was so mad about it.
Yeah.
And, so I used to get teased a lot for for being that, because you couldn't use the bathroom no more. Couldn't use the bathroom. No. These are the things I had to go through when I was a kid, and now as a a young woman, I'm like, okay, well, you gotta fight, fight. You fight that fight, and it's hard. It's hard to fight when you don't know.
Right.
Okay. A lot of people think it's okay. It's so easy to fight. So easy to fight, but you don't know what you're fighting. You don't know if you don't know something. If you don't know something, you're not going to understand it. You're not going to receive it if you don't know it. You're not going to know how to fight if you don't know what you're fighting for. So, I had to learn all those principles because I was so timid as a child and isolated, very isolated.
Right.
Very isolated. I was always in the hospital. Children's hospital was my second home, always.
Right.
I wasn't like other kids. I wasn't able to play with other kids. Couldn't go on vacations like other kids. Beaches and stuff. It was difficult. I got bullied by a teacher. I got
by a teacher. Oh wow.
I got bullied by kids. I got picked on. My skin. One thing for sure. What it does is the dialysis. See what the dialysis it does to you. That's the first thing. It takes your complexion. It takes your complexion. It makes you darker and very skinny. And what else it does? It messes with your growth, especially if you started young. It messes with your growth. So that's why I'm not as tall as my siblings.
Now you said you were what, 5 feet tall?
No, I'm 4'11".
Four. I have a friend that has this about that height. You get used to it. I mean, I'm 5'10" or 5'9", so
Yeah,
I consider the perfect height for me. I call it the huggable height. It's like a perfect match. It's like when you hug somebody, it's somebody that's 5'3". That's my perfect girl to be a huggable, because it's just for me being 5'9", 5'3", it's just perfect. Hey, to each our own. So go ahead.
I couldn't stand my height. I couldn't stand I went through a lot of insecurity.
I'm sure. Well, I mean, guys have it too, but typical girls go through insecurities a lot anyway, because of society. They give you these magazines, and these pretty models, and not realizing they're all touched up. They're photoshopped. They're even before Photoshop was popular, they were being photoshopped. I mean, it's just, I mean, 100 years from now, people will look back as historians and go, "Wow, these people look really great back then." And they actually really didn't. I mean, even I deal with people in Hollywood, and whether following as a fan or something like that, and you watch them on Hollywood and they look all pretty, they all makeup up, and then I see them on TikTok, or I see them on mostly Instagram, and they don't have makeup. I go, "Hey, where's that girl that I follow? I like that one. I don't want this one." Because they don't look as and it's called makeup for a reason. It's really should be made up, not makeup.
It's to enhance your beauty.
Oh yes, it does. And I've dealt with people, and I can understand. I know some girls, younger girls, that they don't wear a lot of makeup, and they do look better when the makeup, because it does enhance the beauty, but they look fine without it. But yeah, it does. I mean, it's kind of like wearing a clothes. If you have a certain shirt on, or like my best color shirt for my skin and my eyes is a blue, but my color of my company is red and black. So I float between red and black. And sometimes I wear a blue shirt, and it actually makes me look better. So if I had to buy shirts, it would be blue. So you're going through all that insecurity and stuff like that. How was it taxing to the brain? Because you're young, as you said, you started out when you were basically 4 or 5 years old. How did it affect your mental state?
Oh my God, that was like so bad. I felt so isolated in my family, and I got older brother, so it's
okay.
In my family, I was just so isolated. Especially, oh my goodness, I would think that I would be a burden to my family, because I'm always sick all the time. My mommy have to take off from work to come admit me to the hospital, and it was, and as I was being in there, I met my family was my hospital.
Right.
Like the nurses, they would cheer me. I mean, I didn't nothing but a crybaby, Yeah, because I only wanted to be home. I want to be home with my mom. Didn't want to be in the hospital. And they would cheer me on, come in my room, give me lollipops, and I'm talking about I got spoiled at the hospital.
I bet you did.
Yeah.
I bet you did.
And I met a lot of my friends at the hospital. A lot of my friends, we went to Camp Holiday Trails. That was in West Virginia.
Okay.
I met my friend, friend from her there. One of my best friends, her name Charity.
Okay.
So we used to have a lot of fun. And I also was in the burn unit. So it kind of mentally, I say I was in I could say happy / cast out mode, but still when I look at people that's around, like when I was in the burn unit, I actually saw babies in the burn unit. Like I felt sad. I see
Yeah.
moms crying, and I would hold my mommy hand and be like, "Mommy," like I look at her with tears coming down my eyes because I'm looking at these are infants. These
Right.
infants 2 years old in the burn unit. And I was like, wow. I told my mommy I really want to go into my own place, but they didn't have no other rooms, so they put me in the orange 3 orange, and that's where the burn unit is basically at.
Right.
When I had to get my hair cut off, so because of the lupus. So I was in the burn unit with all these kids. Some was older, okay, some was older, but the babies is the ones that I kind of connect with because, I'm only like 6 years old, six,
Right.
7. So I'm trying to see, like, dang, I see them. I see these babies, and it was this lady with her baby, holding her baby hand, you know, they got burnt, you
Mhm.
know, in the room next door to me.
Okay.
And then it was this other lady I was telling you about the 2-year-old chocolate baby.
Right.
She got burnt too. And the mom was in the next room. I think it was like
Hmm.
2 doors down from me. I'm telling you, these kids, I felt something for them.
Right.
I was like, oh my goodness, I'm in here whining about my head and,
Hmm.
crying about my head. And I see these kids, these little babies burnt, and just felt terrible.
Hmm.
I felt bad because I wonder, like, dang, who would do something like that? You
Right.
know? So, that's where I was at in my life. Like, when I was 5, 6, 7, 8,
Hmm.
going up
Hmm.
in the hospital, actually growing up in the hospital.
Right.
So I didn't really see outside that much. I had a tutor. And the times that I did go to school, I didn't like school because I was
Oh.
getting bullied and
Right.
bullied at school. I got bullied. Like I said, I got bullied by a teacher. She would pick on me all the time. And
I,
I'm telling you, I used to make great grades until my sickness got real bad
mhm.
and I couldn't keep up with the rest of the class.
Right.
So that's why my mommy gave me a tutor.
Okay.
So the hospitals and them, they decided to give us a tutor so we could keep up with the classes and
Hmm.
the math and all that stuff. And
Right.
I'm great at math. I love it.
Hmm. Now, you talked about some of the things that the lupus affected. Obviously, we know the kidneys. You had lost those, and then obviously the hair, and you said the skin. Anything else particularly that was kind of damaged or because of the lupus in you? I mean,
No, that was basically it.
okay,
It was the kidneys, the nose bleeding,
right,
sometimes rashes. You couldn't be too much in the sun.
okay,
Couldn't be
sun
in the sun
sensitive,
that long. Couldn't be in the sun. Sometimes it will, since definitely sensitive eyes. I have real sensitive eyes.
okay,
Um, um, so that's why I have the shades on my
okay,
for the lights. And the hair, like especially since I have seizures, if it's like really, really hot outside, right?
hmm,
Really hot, I have to be careful. I have to always have something to drink.
hmm,
Something cold, warm, or whatever you want to call it, something lubricant so I could drink it, right?
right,
So if I don't have nothing on my head and the sun is really like it's 100 degrees, 90 something, and that humidity is up like that,
hmm.
it will mess with my seizures.
Oh wow, That's
and I have to have a hat on. I have to have a hat on at all times. My mom would tell me, if I go out, my mom used to tell me all the time, "Come on, let's get your hat. Let's get your hat," especially in the summertime, because
right.
that's the majority of the times when my seizures start acting up. Stress, yes, that messes with your seizures.
Okay.
That messes with your seizures. So you gotta know how to maintain your stress level. And I had to learn these things. I had to learn a lot of situations, and you can't be in an abusive relationship because
Right.
your stress levels, especially if you have seizures, your
Right.
stress levels will go haywire.
Mm-hmm.
And because mine's did.
Right.
I mean, I was having back to back to back to back to back. The
Oh,
lady
I can't
told me,
imagine.
the lady told me that you shouldn't have that many seizures back to back like that. You
Right.
know that can mess up your brain, your waves of your brain, and you can die.
Right.
So whatever that's triggering you need to cut it out.
Uh-huh.
So I
Okay.
I was very nervous about that because I don't want to die.
Right. Yeah, you want to
But
live.
at that time I was in a state of depression.
Mm-hmm. That I would be understandable. I mean, if you're going through, as I said, you're getting bullied at school, bullied by a teacher that should not be a teacher.
Mhm.
I'm not saying it's right. You understand kids bullying because kids are kids and they don't do things right, and they shouldn't be bullying. The teacher definitely not. That teacher should not have been a teacher. I'm
Mhm.
hoping that they're either learned or they're not a teacher anymore because they don't really need to be affecting kids in that way.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
you
very
went
humiliating.
yeah, that it's you have a disease of whatever it is, and then it's not your fault. It just happened to you. It's like I don't know. I just can't. I don't know. I don't like bullies, and I never have. So, but
Me neither.
so you've gone through that mental stress, which oddly causes more seizures. So you have the sun that causes seizures. You have the anxiety causes seizures and stuff like that. So you're feeling depressed and stuff like that. And did you ever deal with your thoughts of like suicide or anything like that? Because depression sometimes can lead to the thoughts of suicide. Did you ever go down that road?
Yes, my suicide came when my brother slash cousin died.
Okay.
I couldn't bear that. I was so out of it. It was
Right.
crazy.
Hmm.
Um, when he passed, a part of me passed too because he was my protector. He was
Okay.
he was always there for me, especially when bullies pop up. And
Hmm.
like I said, I was timid at that time, at a time, at that age, especially 14, 15. I was still timid at that age.
Right.
And he will always be that bold one,
Hmm.
what's up? What's up? Come
Hmm.
on, let's do this, And when when he passed away and my older brother lied
Mm.
in
Oh
his
wow.
honor, because they was at a club.
Okay.
And of course, this older dude, and this was a grown man,
Hmm.
got jealous of my brother slash cousin. He always, like I said, remember, he's always been a protector, so he was
Right.
protecting somebody at the time.
Right.
And that protectiveness of his got him where he at.
Oh wow.
He had a good heart, but
Right.
especially, I just didn't like that. But
Yeah.
I love that he was protecting,
Hmm.
being a protective. The only thing that I didn't like is that, the older man shouldn't even
Yeah.
shouldn't even been, like, what are you doing? Like, you a grown man and you
Right.
picking with somebody that's way under your age.
Right.
Like, why would you do that? Like, he's 15, and you like, how old are you? How old are you? 20 something, 30? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You shouldn't even be over here trying to pick on this level.
Right.
Like, I'm like, you're like a old man picking on a 15-year-old.
Right.
You know? I mean, yeah, he got in a club, so what? But you, as a grown man,
Right.
should stand your ground. You should know how to control your emotions or whatever that it is that you dealing with.
Yeah.
And I felt that was, I felt that was bad because you sitting around want to harm somebody that's not even close to your age.
Right. Yeah.
And I was like, you gonna take my brother out of this world because your jealousy and your your ego or whatever you dealing with at this time.
Right.
And then he got his little goons. He got his little goons to kill my brother / cousin.
Jeez.
And my older brother was right there, and it was a mess. And I couldn't believe it because it was on a day that I had to go to dialysis.
Right.
I had to go to dialysis. I just came home from dialysis. Now, they ain't called me. My mommy and them didn't call me because I was waiting for them to wait, from that prior, I was waiting for them to come home. I just saw him that night. He gave me a kiss. His birthday, June 12th. Mine is March 12th.
Okay.
So we the 12 people in the family. And everybody be like, look at the 12. They always tease us and everything.
Right.
And but yeah, that day it was such a mess because I had to actually go to dialysis that day. And when I went from there, came home, I saw all these people with their head down. And all I could see is those people as I'm going through the tunnel with their head down. And I'm wondering why they got their head down. It's a good day outside and real nice.
Right.
Not cold, and it wasn't cold. The thing about it wasn't cold. Even though he died in December.
Right.
It wasn't cold that day. And I'm going in my building, about to open the door. But something is stopping me right there at that door. I can feel like something is going on.
Right.
I ain't even opened the door yet, and I could feel it. I could feel like the presence is missing. Something is wrong, and I felt it so strongly. To be honest, I thought it was my older brother.
Right.
Because my brother / cousin, he could run real fast. Not saying that my older brother can't. My older brother can run too, but we all thought that he was going to be a track star.
Right.
Because he could run so fast. And when they told me that he passed, I couldn't believe it. It was real devastating to me. I kicked my friends out. They was crying in my room, our room, and I couldn't believe it. I was like, y'all gotta go. Because I didn't believe that he was gone. Because I'm like, he promised me that we was going to watch Bad Boys on Friday. I'm thinking something is wrong,
Right.
And
now you were how old were you at that particular time?
I was 16.
16. Okay. Yeah, that's still a lot at 16 years old. So you're going through all those situations, the trauma of the death of your brother, cousin, that type of person. And then you had the lupus and then stuff like that. I don't want to go too much into detail, but isn't part of a little bit of your bio that you describe a little bit of assault, basically? You don't go in depth of it because we want to move on to where God got involved in your life and all the great things that have happened since then. So just glaze over it a little bit so people know that you had the lupus, you had the death of your brother cousin, and then the assault. Talk a little bit about that, and then we'll move on to
Oh,
the good stuff. I mean, the of
yeah.
Jesus dealing with it and stuff like that. So go ahead.
Now, my assault came when I was 15.
Okay, so it was before that and before the death of.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yes. And I was at a party. It was basically a party that I didn't supposed to be at. I snuck out the house. This is my first time, okay? This is my first time ever going to a party. Never been to no party. And wanted to see what the hype was about house parties
Okay.
and everything. And it wasn't what I thought it was.
Right.
When I went there, I was like, dang. First thing I'm saying, when I first come up to the house, I already knew right then and there I'm in the wrong place. This is not for me. I felt it in my spirit. I was like, oh man, what did I do? I'm not even in, this is not my element. This
Mhm.
is this is not for me.
Right.
Already knew it, already felt it when I got to the house. And I was like, oh my goodness, I can't turn back. They're gonna think I'm a punk. You
Yeah.
get what I'm saying? So I said, I'm gonna just go ahead and shake it off. Us youngins, we're gonna shake it off and keep it moving. So that's what we do. That's what I did. I shook it off and kept it moving. And they was doing a lot of stuff in this house.
Oh, I can imagine.
But the thing, these older guys,
Right.
they was older, so they do older things. I'm like, what? I said, what are they doing here? I don't do all that. I'm looking like, what? Okay, I don't do that. But so it was like I said, this particular day, my team. The reason why I remember this story so good because I was watching the 76ers play. And I'm not a 76ers fan no more since they don't win no more. So, but it was that day, and my game was on, and they was winning, and I'm like, okay, go ahead, Detroit 76.
Mhm.
And it was only one unoccupied room,
Okay.
and after that, things went left.
All it takes.
And that's the day I had to really learn how to fight
Mhm.
for myself.
Yes. Yeah. You're in a situation that you kind of knew that you weren't supposed to be there, but you were there anyway.
Hmm.
I mean, that's a lot of how the devil does things. He makes things look good, but in reality, they're not. So, all right. So you talked about all these things that went on in your life. Let me ask you from the spiritual point of view, because from your bio, you talk about Jesus, so I'll go into depth in that stuff. From the time you were born until whatever, tell me a little bit how your spiritual walk was. Was it there? Or what was the story? What was the Lord? How involved was he when you were a kid at 6 years old, 7 years old? Was he there?
My mommy used to, my mommy, my aunt, my uncle had us in church.
Okay.
But my mommy and them, they are Catholic.
Uh,
They Catholic, and my grandma Catholic. They are Catholic. But the thing is, my aunt, when I go to my aunt's house, in my own house, they would have this white Bible, thick Bible. I'm talking about this thick Bible, long, thick Bible right there.
okay.
And I would look at it all the time, open it up, even a couple pages. And we would watch, my aunt would put on the cartoon of Adam and Eve.
Okay.
And so it's not like I didn't know about Jesus. I knew
Right.
about him. I
Mhm.
know about him. I know about him. But you know how you can know about somebody but actually don't know about somebody?
Right.
That's exactly where I was at.
Mhm.
I was basically knowing him but not knowing him.
Right.
Not knowing of him. I mean, I knew him because my mommy and them, and I will look at the little cartoons and they had their little rosaries and and stuff like that. And that's how I was brought up. And
Right.
but like I said, as I got older, had to get older, and I had to deal with Amenna, that's when I came towards knowing who God is, and I became Christian.
All right. So what kind of effect did becoming a Christian affect your life dealing with the stuff that you were going through? How did it help you there?
Well, when I with my depression,
Mm-hmm.
God brought my aunts with me.
Okay.
Okay, He brought my aunt the day of my suicide attempt.
Mm-hmm.
I literally, they literally don't even show up this time of night.
Right.
So I knew it was nothing but God
Mm-hmm.
sending somebody, sending angels to come my way to help me.
Right.
And my mommy, she was so afraid. She didn't know what was, I mean, my heart felt like it was pumping, coming out of my chest. I literally could see it in my hand.
Right.
Talking about help me, help me. But I'm gonna tell you what really changed my life and brought me to God
Mm-hmm.
is, and what God did is when I was going through my depression.
Mm-hmm.
My sister, my big sister, is the one that brought me to her church.
Okay.
Brought me to her church. She's a Christian. She brought me to her church, and when she brought me to this church, I was like, what's going on? They jumping, crying, shouting and everything. They don't do that in no Catholic church. They don't do
No,
all
they
that.
don't.
So you see the difference between the two.
Mm-hmm.
So you wonder why they jumping, why they crying, and why they doing these dances, and I'm wondering. I'm like, I don't know what's going on in here. My sister, she's in a church. Okay,
Okay.
she's a Catholic. I mean, she's a Christian.
Okay.
She's the one that introduced me to her church.
Okay.
And my pastor which is her pastor.
Okay. That's what
It's my pastor now.
Okay.
So we went up there for. He asked anybody did they require prayer,
Mm-hmm.
and so I went up there, and I'm talking about when he touched me.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing I could ask my sister, what was that?
Hmm.
What was that? I felt something. What was that? That's the only thing I could ask. And then that's when she said that was God touching you.
Mm-hmm.
The Spirit of God touching you. And I was like, I want that. Whatever it is, I want that.
Mm-hmm.
So I started like really getting really deep in God and praying and doing all these things. When God started I'm talking about tearing things away from me, old friends. I mean, I'm talking about when you start to see things start happening, and then I was like, what? But soon as I was going towards God, that's when another assault came in.
Okay.
And see, the devil is busy trying to bring me back towards that way.
Right.
But it ain't do nothing but bring me more forward.
Right.
And I was like, I have to. I did do a little rebellion because, like I said, I did get assaulted. Not blaming the assault for the rebellion, but my emotions was everywhere.
Right.
But it drew me back to God. And I said, nah, I got to stop. I ain't doing this. But it drew me back to God. And what really saved my life is God. I'm talking about from my depression. Let me know my worth. I'm dealing with my emotions and everything. I'm talking about he literally took me under his wing and turned my life around.
Mm-hmm.
And actually said, I love you,
Mm-hmm.
He loves me, and I had to realize that somebody do loves me in this world.
Right.
And when I was going through my depression, I didn't think that nobody loved me, like family, even my mom.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell you, when I felt that spirit turn my life, it turns something in me.
Mm-hmm.
It lets me know that he loves me, and I shouldn't have to take my life,
Right.
I shouldn't feel this low. I shouldn't allow my thoughts or even the devil to get to me that way.
Mm-hmm.
So all I can say is that how God changed me is when I start experiencing God's love for me.
Mm-hmm.
When he started pulling his love upon me, that's what really changed me into what I am today.
And basically wrapping up in this next few minutes or so, is there anything else that God has done in your life that you really want to share while you have the platform? Is there anything else that God has done that you want to tell people?
God is really doing a lot of things. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I had a baptism. I did get baptized. And I'm gonna tell y'all, anybody that ever got baptized, if you've never felt that you died in that water, I'm telling you, you're never going to get the experience of release.
Okay.
Just release. I felt so, like, not saying that all my problems was gone, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I felt really like a new creature, like that old person died in that water and a new person came up.
Right.
And it was like, dang, I love this Mina. It was different. I felt different. I felt stronger. I felt love, excitement, encouraged.
Mm-hmm.
And I always ask God, give me more, give me more. So I be motivating. I'm a motivational speaker.
Okay.
I love doing that. That's something that I'm passionate for, to talk towards those that don't know God, to bring them to God. And I also have my clothing line that is also for the voices that don't have, the people that don't have a voice, because it reminds me of myself. If someone had a voice for me, you get what I'm saying? Someone had a voice for me, then maybe I would have been a little more stronger than I was, than I am now. You see what I'm saying? So I feel like, everything aligns with God for a reason. You get taught for a reason. You get taught how to be stronger through your depression. And I always looked at it that because you fail at something, that don't mean that you're weak.
Right.
It means that maybe that thing that you're trying to do, just not what it is that God wants you to do.
Right.
And sometimes God wants you to step out in faith. Sometimes, He wants you to step out in faith, see how bad you want it. You might fail at that, but see, it's something. Sometimes you got to get back up and start over again, rethink it again, and rewrite it again, because it might not be. You might have missed something on the first round, but now you got to go to the second round to get it back up. You see, and that's where I was at. I was at that point right there.
One of the things I was thinking of when you were talking was, in our weakness, He is strong.
Yes.
He was strong. So you said you're a public speaker and a motivational speaker and stuff like that. Where can people that are watching or listening on audio podcast, where can people find you if they want to get a hold of you, if they want to know more about you? Where can people find you?
I'm on Facebook. Amenna Scott, all the time. IG, Amenna Scott. Everything is Amenna Scott. TikTok, Amenna Scott. Everything. YouTube, Amenna Scott.
Okay.
Everything Amenna Scott, except my clothing line. My clothing line is Hustle for Jesus on Facebook.
All right, Amenna, thank you very much for being on the show today. I really appreciate our conversation.
Yes, thank you for allowing me to be on.
Well, everybody else, you've been watching the Millennium Beat, and this is your host, Kevin James. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next week. Remember, we like to encourage the world one story at a time.
This has been a Millennium Beat LLC production. Views and opinions of the guest are not always the views and opinions of the Millennium Beat LLC. Check us out on social media, Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram, and TikTok at The Millennium Beat, or on Twitter at Millennium_Beat. If you would like to partner with us to reach the world, go to our website for more information. You can go to themillenniumbeat.com or tmb2000.net. Your financial support is greatly appreciated. We couldn't do all we do without your support. The Millennium Beat just updated our website from the ground up. Check it out at themillenniumbeat.com, or you can get there by using millenniumbeat.com or tmb2000.net, where you'll be redirected to the millenniumbeat.com's homepage. I want to thank Mass Inbound for their awesome work on our website. If you're looking for somebody to build your site, I recommend them. You can reach them at massinbound.com. That is massinbound.com. These are some of the things that you can find on our website. Homepage. You can watch our latest YouTube video or listen to our audio podcast. Also listed are some of the platforms our audio podcast is on. You'll find out when the next podcast will air and who the guest will be. On the top right, you will find two red buttons, Learn How to Help and Become a Guest. Under Learn How to Help, you can become a partner, sponsor, contributor, or contribute to the future Millennium Bus. You can give one-time or monthly recurring. The choice is yours. The other button is Be a Guest. Click it, go to the form, and fill it out, and we will get back to you. We would love to hear your story. Click the About Us drop-down where you'll find stats, where we are reaching people, and to find more information on our sponsors. Click on the podcast drop-down, then click on the calendar tab where it will tell you when the shows will air and who will be on them. Or if you need to know about any meetups of the Millennium Beat staff, partners, or listeners. Also, there might be on the calendar an event at which the Millennium Beat staff will be at. Click the Guest tab for all previous guests, links to their website, social media pages, and any store they might have. Click the Forms drop-down. There you'll find a release, Be a Guest, or Become a Sponsor form.